Hey yo, what's good? It's your boy Mixtape Moth, and today I'm gonna hit y'all with a review of the new Hus Kingpin album entitled Bjorkingpin. Let's get to it. Alright, so Hus Kingpin is a prolific rapper hailing from Hempstead, Long Island, who is a member of the Winners Collective. He is a creative artist who has a knack for crafting conceptually themed projects whereby Hus puts his own spin on the sounds inspired by his hip hop predecessors or his musical influences outside hip hop. Examples of this include his Firm project, where Hus paid homage to the late 90s supergroup The Firm. Additionally, Hus made a tribute album to the 90s trip hop band Portishead, dubbing the project Portis. He has other conceptual releases as well, but those are two recent ones that were well put together and I highly recommend. But this time around, Hus decided to draw inspiration from the legendary singer, producer, and vocalist Bjork. Now, I can't say that I'm familiar with Bjork's catalog, but she seems like the type of eclectic artist that Hus would be influenced by. So, like Portis, this album doesn't appear to directly sample the instrumentals from Bjork songs. Rather, it only contains vocal snippets of her voice and a nod to her musical aesthetic. This project contains only 10 tracks and lasts approximately 28 minutes. The features include Doza the Drum Dealer, Ambassador Rick, Nico Is, Grunge, Gallardo, David James, and Smooth. But with that being said, let me go ahead and just hit y'all with this track by track breakdown. The opener, Hunter, has a grim boom bap beat with violins. There's an overall mysterious quality to it, like the kind of instrumental suited for Killer Priest or Rock Marciano. Hus's lyricism is gritty, but also esoteric as he pens phrases like "Leaping the Falcon, I ran to Malcolm just to feed the Falcon, lift the fire out your mouth, now I'm speaking omens, time is precious and it's stolen." It's not the easiest to decipher, but it sounds very mystical and eerie. Then there's more direct lines like, "My lifestyle, guns, guts, and gluttony, and dreams fly away if you don't catch them coming full speed." Now that sounds like a jewel. As a whole, it's a solid opening track that sets a dark and shadowy tone out the gate. Track 2, Best of the Best, has more of an electronic boom bap flavor. The instrumental is ethereal and trance-like. There are also vocal excerpts from Bjork worked in. A line that stood out was, "All those kings came from my chessboard." So it's clear that Hus feels that his style is being copied or swaggerjacked by someone. And we get another wise jewel. It's easier to swallow Hennessy than pride and blood. Altogether, it's a dope track, but I actually prefer the remix at the end. What comes next is The Evil's Embrace, which contains the same spelling of devils, the evils, as used on Jay-Z's Reasonable Doubt. This is built around a hazy and psychedelic backdrop that's ultra trippy. Here we get a rugged performance from Doza the Drum Dealer, who also supplies the hook, and there's something about his aggressive delivery that reminds me a little bit of Vinny Paz. Hus has some particularly bone-chilling imagery like, "Whoever disillusioned with death, I whisper quiet sins. It's corpse city, liquid swords catching viscosity." Damn. And "Feathers from dead crows fill my pillows. It's another sleepless night." Just downright eerie lyricism from Hus. The following, Isabel, slows down the tempo with a murky and lo-fi beat. It's a partial storytelling record where Hus reminisces on the spell that Isabel had put on him. It's another haunting moment on the project, although it feels more like an interlude than a fully fleshed out song. The subsequent record, Pagan Poetry, contains my favorite instrumental on the project by far. Here we are getting a creepy and distorted piano loop, but the melody is catchy. However, the vibe is very esoteric and occult-like, so I wouldn't recommend playing it in a dark room at 3 a.m. Hus has a lot of vivid and unique poetic descriptions throughout, like, "I built worlds on the backs of skies," and "Heavenly, I took my footsteps towards a road of melody. My flame overcame my first thought. Shoot up the ceremony." Hus's writing style is just different. He doesn't always rhyme, but his lyricism is ultra unique. Right after is Volta with Ambassador Rick, and this is set to an atmospheric, a boom bap beat with bright, spacey synths. There's also a Bjork vocal sample on the hook. Hus comes through with some wavy slick talk that sounded ill, but it was Ambassador Rick, in my opinion, who I feel had the best verse. As a whole, it was a cool up-tempo track with a flavorful instrumental. Things mellow out a bit with the song Wonderlust. Now this has a dusty yet serene beat that is very mid-90s, Large Professor, Pete Rock inspired. The overall vibes are dreamlike and transcendental. Hus raps, "My only hope for this year, rap dudes are more classy and less sassy. The evolution of the rap beef." It's not a long song, but a highlight due to Hus's ability to paint pictures over smooth boom bap production. It's definitely a vibe. What follows is the faster paced Utopia, which features a solid verse from Nico Is, who is nice with the punchlines. Here, the two are describing a lush and heavenly existence over a cloudy and synth layered beat. The second to last track is Hyper Ballad, which features verses from Grunge Gallardo and David James. It's a bar-heavy song built around a moody guitar riff. Hus sets it off with some sexually charged bars, comparing himself to a porno legend from the 80s, and you can always count on Hus to drop a few sexually graphic lines on his albums. He is also taking shots at an unknown target with lines like, "You sit in a cardboard throne, you a king with a paper crown, style jacker, you chasing sounds, see how those bullets in your face chase around." Is Hus at his most aggressive on the album. So I had never heard of the two guests prior to this record, but they can both rap well, and I would consider this to be one of the stronger tracks. Then the project comes to a conclusion with Best of the Best Part 2. This basically contains the same instrumental as Part 1, except there's a haunting vocal harmony from Bjork throughout. There's also a verse from Hus's partner in rhyme, Smooth, who brings a layer of that Hempstead grittiness to this atmospheric production. If I had to compare the two, I would say I prefer Part 2, primarily due to the Smooth feature and the Bjork sample. Overall, I give this album a rating of a strong 3.5 to 4 mics. It's shorter than Portis Hus and slightly less grand in scope, but it's still a very creative and vibe-heavy project that plays well from front to back. I was able to detect some similarities between the production on Portis Hus and Bjorkingpin, which makes sense given that both Portishead's and Bjork's music tends to be on the trippier and more experimental side. But let me know in the comment section if any of the beats here closely resemble any of Bjork's actual instrumentals, as I honestly haven't listened to her music yet, but I do plan to check it out just like I did Portishead after the Hus release. So shout out to Hus Kingpin for getting me to step out of my comfort zone just slightly to listen to some non-rap. At the end of the day, it's a project that I will have to be in a certain mood for, but I would chalk this up as another win in Hus's already consistent discography. He succeeds again in taking the listener on a hazy, psychedelic, and warped journey. My favorite tracks include The Evil's Embrace, Pagan Poetry, Volta, Wonderlust, Hyper Ballad, and Best of the Best Part 2. Let me know what you thought of Bjorkingpin in the comment section below. It's your boy Mixtape Moth. I'm signing out, but be sure to hit that like button and please subscribe. As always, it's peace and blessings. Hus Kingpin, Bjorkingpin 1.